Live. This is our second try here, but I am Jason Steele. I am Money.com's credit card and travel expert, and I'm here today on Instagram Live to talk to you about everything credit cards. We asked for some questions from everyone out there on Instagram, and I'll be answering them shortly. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in below. And just so you know, this Instagram Live is for informational purposes only. I'm not giving out specific financial advice. If you have specific questions about your finances, talk to a local expert where you live. And one last thing, some of the companies I might be mentioning are partners with Money, so if you want more information on that, you can go to money.com. So let's get started with the fun stuff. The first question is a great question. What is a credit card and how does it differ from a debit card? Well, certainly if you're to hold up a credit card and a debit card, they look exactly alike. And when you use them in the store, to the large extent, they seem to function exactly alike. But a debit card is very, very different in how you spend money. So a debit card requires you to put down money on deposit before you can make a purchase. So if that's your bank account or if it's the company that issues the debit card, like a prepaid card, asks you to put money on deposit, if you were to put $100 on deposit, you can go out and buy something for $95 and have no problem, and it'll deduct that from your balance. If it's $105, on the other hand, it will not be approved because you have not already deposited that. Now, a credit card is different because it's offering you credit. It's offering you a loan. And when you are approved from a credit card, they look at your credit history and your credit score, and they, if approved, you are offered a loan. And every time you make a charge on that credit card, you do not have any funds immediately withdrawn from your bank account. At the end of the month or the billing period, you'll receive a statement either in the mail or accessible online or email, and it'll tell you how much you owe. And you have the option of paying that balance in full and avoiding interest, which, spoiler alert, that's the way to do it. Or you have the option of paying the minimum payment and carrying a balance, so you're extending payment. And of course, you will incur interest on that amount that you're carrying that balance on. Credit card interest generally runs from about 15% all the way up to 30%, with some a bit higher and some a bit lower, but it is more than you would probably spend on interest on your home or even a secured loan like your car. A credit card is an unsecured loan. So contrary to what you might have seen maybe in The Simpsons or other TV shows, if you don't pay your credit card bill, I don't think anyone's going to come to your house and take your purchases away. So they're not secured by anything. So you'll pay higher interest rates. But the bad news of a credit card, of course, is you can go into debt. You certainly can pay interest charges, which can be expensive. But the good news is you're building credit. So having credit cards establishes a credit history and allows you to qualify for other loans in the future. I have one question someone chimed in with here is, what is credit utilization? Credit utilization is kind of a technical term. I mean, people in the credit card business know it very well, but the average person probably doesn't. It's the percentage of your credit line that you've utilized. So let's say I apply for a credit card, I'm approved, I have a $5,000 credit line. The next day I go out and I buy a refrigerator for $4,000. I have then used up 80% of my credit line. Well, why is that important? Well, when you're looking to apply for a loan, banks, the old saying goes, banks only want to loan money to those who don't need it. So to those who haven't utilized their available credit. Well, if a bank sees that you've already utilized 80% of your available credit, they might be hesitant to offer you additional credit. So you'll want to keep your credit utilization relatively low. There's a lot of people who believe that keeping it below 30% is important, although experts agree that's not a magic number. But you keep your credit utilization low, you're not using up all your available credit, and that will help your credit history, and it will help to improve your credit score, and will make future credit decisions more likely to go in your favor. Another question is, why is it important to build credit, and why have good credit? And that's a great question, because a lot of young adults or people who don't have any experience with credit, they often ask themselves, what's the point? So let me go through just a brief list of why you should have good credit. I mean, the first one is you want to be approved for loans in the future, and banks and other lenders will only want to loan money to people who have a track record of repaying their loans on time. And you would do the same thing too. I mean, imagine you're in a high school or a small town or a group of friends, and one of them wants to borrow money from you. You might think back to yourself, well, Bob borrowed money from two of my other friends and never paid them back on time, so I don't think I want to loan Bob any money. But then you might say, well, Susie, she loaned money from a friend of mine, and my friend said that she paid it back immediately with a smile. So if Susie wants a loan from me, I'll be glad to give it to her. And that's essentially what credit is. It's a record. The credit history is a record of, did you pay your loans back on time? And if you did, you'll have a positive credit history. And if you made payments late, or even worse, you defaulted, or you just didn't pay somebody back, that will really hurt your credit. And it used to be that you'd go into, I don't know, say a car dealership, and you'd ask for a car loan, and they'd look at your credit history, and they'd go line by line and try to decide, that the car dealer would try to decide if you had good credit. Well, then they invented something called credit scores. And what that was is a formula that looks at the data in your credit history and just reduces that to a score. It's a number between 300 and 850. And if you're above 740, generally speaking, that means you have excellent credit. So the person at the car dealer doesn't have to be an expert in consumer credit to know if you should be approved for a loan. All that person needs to do is look at your credit score and interpret, is it above a number or below a number, and that will tell if you qualify or what rate you qualify for. So other reasons why it's important to have good credit. Well, beyond home loans and car loans and applying for new credit cards, personal loans, any kind of boat, motorcycle, RV loan you can think of, credit scores and credit reports are being used for other things. So you might apply for a job maybe with a financial company, and they might say, well, we're thrilled to hire you, but just before we make it final, we're going to do a pre-employment background check, which includes your credit history. And so the theory is they might not want to give a job where you're handling money to someone who's deeply in debt or has a history of making poor financial decisions, which is understandable. But unfortunately, I think there's probably cases where some companies make those pre-employment background checks mandatory, maybe where they shouldn't be, but that's the world we live in, and there's not too many laws surrounding that. Another example would be an apartment. If you apply for an apartment lease, and they're likely going to pull your credit history, and certainly they don't want to rent to you if your credit history shows that you've taken out many loans that you have not paid back, or you have a history of making late payments, which is not what you would want if you were renting out an apartment to somebody else, and certainly not what they want if they're renting it out to you. So that's important there. Other things could be even utilities and insurance rates. So you might apply for phone service or electric service, and in some places they might say, well, your credit history is not very good, so before we can sign you up, we need to get a $200 deposit down. Or your car insurance or your home insurance might decide that having bad credit somehow correlates with losses, that they might feel that people who have bad credit are more likely to get into car accidents or have a claim against their homeowner's insurance, and they might charge you a higher rate, and certainly you would not want that. So how do you build good credit? So the simple thing is, when we could talk about all the nuances all day long, but I like to distill it down to 2 points. The first point is, 1, pay your bills on time. It's that simple. But if you need to set a calendar invite or a calendar setting or notification, or most credit cards and other types of loans will now offer automatic payments, so it automatically deducts from your bank account, that's the most reliable way of making sure you pay all your bills on time. The second is carrying very little debt. And that goes back to what I said about credit utilization. The less debt you have, the more likely a lender will want to extend you new credit. Because your credit score, your credit history, it's all designed to inform lenders on the likelihood that you'll repay a loan, or that you will not default, or that you'll pay your bills on time when you're extended a line of credit. So the next question here we have is, how is interest calculated? Interest is calculated based on, you might have seen the acronym APR, average percentage rate. And with credit cards, that's determined based on your average daily balance. So let's say I've just opened up what do I want? I want a new bicycle. Those are selling like hotcakes these days. So I spent $1,000 on a new bicycle. Now my balance is $1,000. But really my average daily balance over the last 2 days is only $500. Actually, no, that's not true. Okay, well, I think we're back. You can't go back in time and pay a bill on time that you had paid late. So all you can do really is to reduce your credit utilization. So pay off the balances that you have now. If you do not have much in the way of credit history, what you can do is apply for new credit cards and be very, very careful to pay your balances on time with those new credit cards. So establishing a new credit history will help you. So this is Jason Steele. I'm Money.com's credit card and travel expert, and today I'm talking about the basics of credit cards. We have a few more questions, and we'll be accepting questions from the audience or from anyone tuned in as well. For a secured card, you need to put down a deposit first, but considering there's no fees and the deposit is refundable, that's a great way to go. Capital One will review your credit automatically to see if you qualify for a higher line of credit, and of course you can transition from that. The American Express Gold Card offers 4 points per dollar on both groceries and dining. So as long as you, eat, you should earn lots of rewards. The Capital One Saver Card offers 4% cash back on dining. So that's a great card. And the American Express Blue Cash Preferred offers 6% cash back on up to $6,000 a year you spend on groceries. So 6% cash back is fantastic. Of course, then there's travel rewards credit cards, and I'm a big fan of the Chase Sapphire Preferred and Sapphire Reserve, which offer 2 and 3 points per dollar, respectively, on both travel and dining. They've been offering a lot of non-travel rewards lately, such as home improvement stores and grocery stores. So if you're not traveling for a while, you certainly can get a lot of great value out of that. They've had other promotions as well. So those are some of my favorite rewards cards that I have in my wallet. I'm also frankly a big fan of the Chase Freedom Unlimited, and they just started a new offer where you get 5% cash back on up to $12,000 of spending on groceries that you can make in the first year that you have that card. So normally that card just offers 1.5% cash back on everything, which is really good, but 5% cash back on groceries is fantastic. That's $600 of potential cash back should you spend $1,000 a month on groceries for that first year. And for people really in the know, if you also have a Sapphire Preferred, Sapphire Reserve, Inc. Business Preferred that has those Chase Ultimate Rewards points, then you can transfer your Freedom Unlimited points to one of those cards, and they're actually redeemable as travel points and miles for airlines and hotels. So next question, what is my opinion on holding a balance? Well, I kind of gave it away in the beginning if you were there. Holding a balance does not help your credit. Some people think it does, but it really doesn't. In fact, it utilizes your credit and can hurt your credit score. But more importantly, when you carry a balance on your credit card, as about 50% of American credit card holders do, then you're incurring interest charges, and that gets very expensive. So the words that I live by is to always avoid interest charges by paying your balance in full and on time. And if you do those things, it's really hard not to have excellent credit. And of course, you won't incur interest charges. So next question here, and this one's from the audience. Do I still like Chase's Ultimate Rewards program in the pandemic? And the answer is yes. I really enjoy it. I'm still earning Ultimate Rewards points, and there's 2 reasons for that. One is because they've really expanded the program for groceries and home improvement. And originally they announced that would be till the end of September, but they recently disclosed that they're going to extend that, and they might even offer some different categories. So I really think that Chase is keeping up with the times and changing in order to reward us for the kind of spending and give us the kind of rewards that we need this year, which are certainly, like everything else this year, different from last year. The other reason I'm bullish on it is I'm optimistic. I want to believe that this time next year I'll be back traveling again. I used to travel 2 or 3 times a month. I haven't traveled since March. I want to believe that things are going to go back to normal, that this is not the new normal. And when that time comes, I want to have lots of points and miles to go crazy, because I actually believe that with all the airplanes that are grounded and all the hotels that are at half capacity, that they're going to do everything they can to lure people back. And if that means opening up the empty seats for travel rewards, I'm really confident that that's going to happen next year, and I'll be able to redeem my points and miles for some great options. So this year I'll earn, and next year I'll spend. So next, how to build a business credit line for millions of dollars. Wow. I wish I was in that position. Really, so there's 2 kinds of business credit cards. One is the small business credit card, and that's very much like a personal credit card. It relies on your personal credit score, and it means that you're not going to receive a bigger line of credit there than you would for your personal credit card. So if you have a very, very high income and you qualify for high credit lines, then certainly you could do so with a small business credit card. The other type of business credit card is a corporate card, and that is something usually seen with organizations maybe 50 people and larger. Could be corporations, could be nonprofit, could be government, and that relies on the business's line of credit. And that's more likely what you'd see for millions of dollars of lines of credit. If you have a company or you belong to a company and they or nonprofit or even a government organization, they will offer a credit card or a charge card based on your business's track record, and that will potentially be millions of dollars. Usually it requires like the signing off of some officers in the company and things like that. So I personally don't have a lot of experience with that, but I know it's there. And I have worked for companies where certain people who need to travel or make other purchases will have access to those corporate cards, but it's usually pretty tightly restricted. They don't want someone having a bad day and going out and buying a private jet or something. I don't know. So the next question: to raise my credit score, should you use one card or multiple cards? And this person says that they are a responsible user. So I would also always say multiple credit cards. And it boils down to this: would you loan money to someone who once paid back a balance or paid back a loan? Or would you loan money to someone who has a long history of paying off multiple loans that they've had? So clearly, the more track record you have, the better off you are. And I have actually a book here filled with lots of credit cards that are held by myself and my wife, and I manage them. And having a lot of credit cards will not hurt your credit score so long as you pay your bills on time and don't carry a lot of debt. So you should never have more credit cards than you can handle, manage responsibly, but certainly having several credit cards will help your credit score. And but that diminishes after you have 3, 4, 5 credit cards. Having 10 or 15 won't make a difference. So I think that's about all the time we have today. But for more great content on credit cards and travel, check out money.com and feel free to send me some questions through Instagram, and we'll try to address them on our next talk. So for money.com, I'm Jason Steele, their credit card and travel expert, wishing you a happy and safe day, and use your credit cards responsibly. Thank you.